You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, Joplin police charge a man with kidnapping and resisting arrest following a car chase.
This morning shows we're off to a cloudy but quiet start. We'll see how temperatures fare with all this cloud cover in place when we start breaking down the forecast coming up.
Also, crowdfunding provides a way for a 101-year-old Pearl Harbor veteran to attend a ceremony for the 80th anniversary of the Day of Infamy. All that and more coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. A Joplin man is arrested for kidnapping another man. Joplin police say Benjamin Bartlett held the man at gunpoint in the back of a car and refused to let him leave. Officers found the vehicle and gave chase. They say eventually Bartlett left the vehicle and ran, but was caught. He is charged with second-degree kidnapping, resisting arrest, and armed criminal action. Sometimes problematic Joplin intersection will soon see some changes. The Joplin City Council last night voted to amend the 32nd Street Community Improvement District to add property that includes the 36th Street and Rangeline intersection. The amended petition also includes improvements along 32nd Street near the new Hammonds Boulevard. The amendment passed on an emergency basis. Some road work began yesterday in Joplin. Country Club Drive from 26th Street to 32nd Street is closed through Friday as crews fix sewer lines under the road. Crews also began preliminary work on the 32nd Street widening project, causing some lane closures on that road. USDA announces grants to improve the energy infrastructure in 26 Kansas towns and counties. Hicks Corporation in Pittsburgh, which manufactures printing equipment and supplies, received more than $30,000 to purchase and install an air compressor, HVAC, and LED lighting. Also, Nees Products in Fort Scott, a well drilling contractor, received $29,000 to buy and install a ventilation and heating system and energy efficient lighting. Oklahoma voters registered as an independent will again be allowed to vote in the state Democratic Party's primary elections. State Election Board Secretary Paul Ziriak says the Democratic Party has sent notification that it will allow independents to vote in the party's 2022 and 2023 primaries, just as they did in 2020 and 2021. Ziriak says the state's Republican and Libertarian parties have until December 15th to decide whether to allow independent voters to cast ballots in their primaries. A Webb City attraction that has become a tradition for many four-state families is temporarily closed. Webb City Parks and Recreation says the Polar Bear Express trolley jumped the track, and while they were able to get it back on, it'll be a while before it runs again. The group night Polar Bear Express is canceled for tonight, and officials aren't sure when it'll be up and running again. They hope to know more today. Missouri Southern students are taking a trip back in time with Reacting to the Past. It's an interactive course that involves role-playing or reenacting historical events. For instance, the students played a game in which they were role-playing as the Japanese imperial court, debating whether to go to war with the U.S. Other role-playing challenges included tackling issues like the Cuban Missile Crisis.
It is such an invaluable learning experience because when students walk away from the course, they will remember so much more about the events, having kind of taken on the roles of the people that were involved in them.
Officials hope to make this a full-time course. Quapaw Tribe helped one of the KOAM Toy Box campaign toy distributors. Ottawa County Toys for Tots plans to help 700 kids in Ottawa County receive a present this Christmas. To help make that goal a reality, the Quapaw Tribe donated $30,000 to the program.
Many families who thought they weren't going to have Christmas. So this check is amazing. I was scrambling trying to find the toys to handle the 700 children from Ottawa County. And now I do not have to.
The donation was made during a film premiere at the Coleman Theater in Miami. Well, this is Fox 14's 18th annual Feed the Four States food drive, and we're collecting non-perishable food items at Wesco home furnishing stores in Missouri, Kansas, and Oklahoma. Also, Felon Dermatology and Tropical Tan in Joplin. Donations will help stock the shelves of area food pantries like Crosslines and the Wesley House during the season of high demand. You can also give online at KOAMnewsnow.com/feed. Food drive will continue until December 31st. Monetary donations can be stretched to provide 4 meals per dollar. So please give what you can, and we thank you. Charlie Cox is keeping his Daredevil suit. Let me explain. Marvel Studios says the actor will reprise his role in Marvel's cinematic universe, though no specific Daredevil projects are in the works. Cox played Matt Murdock, Daredevil, in the Netflix series from 2015 to 2018. Now, Marvel has not revealed when, where, or how he might appear in the universe. Some fans believe he will pop up in the new Disney Plus series Hawkeye, or the upcoming film Spider-Man No Way Home.
I think that's a big deal too, because a lot of fans like the Daredevil series on Netflix, and they were surprised, shocked, and even disappointed that Netflix canceled it back a few years ago.
Are you watching the Disney Plus series Hawkeye?
No, but I need to get back on Disney Plus because not only do I want to watch that, I want to watch that Beatles documentary.
Well, you're not far behind because they only have 3 episodes out right now. So
that's good.
Yes. Week 1, of course, they released the 2. Amazing. And then this past Wednesday. But it's on Wednesdays when it's released. So.
All right, I'll definitely keep that in mind. And
Yeah.
we wish we could go on.
So tomorrow will be 4 episodes in. So
yeah. I just wish we could go on and on about this, but we've got a show to move along, so let's talk about weather because we actually have another upper level wave passing on through. This one stretching all the way up toward Hudson Bay, I believe, or at least in the central parts of Canada, extending back down into the Central Plains. This is the primary reason why we have a lot of cloud cover in place since last night and certainly to start this morning out. But at least at the surface, high pressure that was centered over Kansas is now in northern Illinois. The clockwise flow is getting that easterly and southeasterly breeze back into play, and that is going to help us out with temperatures despite all this cloud cover in place. Now, I will point out there is snow showing up on the radar. The caveat with that is look at how far away the radar is picking up all the snow. As you work away from the radar side, the beam shoots higher up into the sky. So this is all snow being picked up 1.5 miles to 2 miles up into the atmosphere. So it is snowing, picking up snow flurries up at that height, but once you drop below 10,000 feet, this runs into a lot of dry air, and that's why the vast majority of us look like this from 7th and range line. Dry and a lot of cloud cover out top. As far as temperatures go, another cold start to the day. We're at 32 in Joplin with the southeast breeze now at 11. That again is going to help us out with temperatures throughout the day. But right now it's making it feel like 23 degrees in Joplin. Everyone's mainly between 30 and 32 degrees, but it feels like we're all in the mid to upper 20s, all because of that breeze. Even though we're finally getting it back in a more suitable direction to help warm things up, it's a southeast breeze at 5 to 10. That again, adding a bit of a chill to the air this morning. So 31 or 32 by about 8 a.m. We'll go to 42 by noon, and we'll still push afternoon highs to about 46 with the south breeze at 5 to 15 miles per hour. That is better compared to the other day, despite quite a bit of cloud cover in play, all because of that upper wave passing through. The flurries that might try to come down in parts of southeast Kansas could try to switch to a few sprinkles as we go through the afternoon. And before this wave clears out, once we get highs up to about 46 or 47 degrees, this wave could end as a few flurries as temperatures take another dip as we head toward tonight. But you can see as the wave clears out, we'll go partly cloudy to mostly clear as we head toward Wednesday morning. We'll have to drop back to 32 degrees. But look at the sunshine pushing us to 58 Wednesday and 68 on Thursday. And not only that, we'll top 73 on Friday, so it's going to be another nice and mild start to the weekend, at least temperature-wise. But unfortunately, Tanya, another system will head our way. That could give us a few showers Friday afternoon and evening, but ultimately, it'll knock us back into the 40s on Saturday and 52 on Sunday.
All right. Apparently, we had plenty of time. We could have talked about Marvel all morning.
Well, we could have.
We might bring it back.
Or maybe some Beatles, too. I wouldn't mind that either.
There you go. You know what else is on Disney Plus that I watched last night?
What?
The new Home Alone remake. Home Sweet Home Alone.
I don't know. It's kind of hard to top the original, but
different storyline, but the same premise, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. My kids sat through it, so that's a plus.
Really, if they enjoyed it, I might as well give it a shot, too.
Yeah. All right. Well, up next, everyone has bad habits, but experts say there's a trick if you really want to break them. And later, new safety concerns from a small Missouri community when the entire police force, including the chief, quits their jobs. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. How cannabis use might impact your sleep, and a study shows most drinkers don't know when they're too drunk to drive. Naomi Ruckham has some of the day's top health stories.
As many as half of all drinkers underestimate how drunk they are and risk driving above the legal limit. A new report published in the Harm Reduction Journal studied 90 young adults who consumed either beer or wine until reaching a breath alcohol concentration of 0.11. Researchers found as many as 53% of the students in their experiment who believed they had reached the legal limit had already passed the threshold to drive. People who use cannabis may either sleep too much or not enough, according to a large study of more than 20,000 adults in the U.S. The survey found heavy users were more likely to have sleep issues and were 64% more likely to sleep less than 6 hours at night. Those who used cannabis 20 or more days in the previous month were also 76% more likely to sleep longer than 9 hours, compared to those who did not use cannabis. And people are unknowingly grouping themselves together online. And according to researchers at Princeton University, it's fueling political polarization across the country. The study found that when people are less reactive to news, their social media feeds are politically mixed. But when people constantly react to or share articles from sources they prefer, they are more likely to create an isolated social media bubble. That's a look at some of the day's top health stories. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
We all have bad habits, and some of those less desirable tendencies may come out more often during the busy holidays or in times of stress, like during the pandemic. And experts say there's a key to break the bad habit cycle. Mandy Gaither has more in today's Health Minute.
From junk food to smoking, you may have some bad habits you're trying to break. The key to stopping that cycle is knowing how the habit forms, says Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
It starts with a trigger. Maybe you're bored, maybe you're stressed. Then comes the behavior. And finally, the reward, that feeling of satisfaction.
Experts say a bad habit must be broken at the reward phase.
When you get to that part of the cycle, focus on the way this habit makes you really feel. Take smoking, for instance. A study showed that when smokers focused on the way their cigarettes taste and the way it made them feel, those people had a higher success rate of curbing the habit.
According to the Cleveland Clinic, breaking a bad habit starts with preparing yourself to be uncomfortable, creating a game plan, and setting realistic goals. Establish incentives to keep you going in the right direction. Maintain your goals by having a strategy to help in times you feel challenged. Keep temptation away. Finally, recognize it's a journey.
So the next time you reach for your smartphone, that extra piece of pizza, that glass of wine, ask yourself, how does it really make you feel? And is it worth it?
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Experts say to be patient, it could take weeks to break a bad habit. That's true. Well, a pair of spot-necked otters native to Africa are making themselves home at the Oregon Zoo in Portland. The pair, named Lemmy and Lila, arrived at the zoo last month and are now exploring their new home in the zoo's African rainforest habitat. Lemmy and Lila were brought to Oregon from other zoos as part of a species survival plan for the ring-necked otter. Species is listed as near threatened in Africa due to the loss of habitat, pollution, and invasive species.
Looks like they're getting along just fine in their new habitat.
Now, I will say, Nick, Michael has a connection to otters.
Oh.
And whenever we run otter stories, he usually talks about them for another minute or so.
I did not know this.
I don't think our
him.
new producers are aware of that, or they would have saved the story till he comes back next week. In case you guys are wondering, Michael is coming back. Yes, everyone deserves vacation.
Yeah. In the meantime, I'm still happy to be here filling in. Always changes the pace up for me, especially when we got an interesting storm system passing on through. Even though it's not impressive, certainly compared to an all-out snowstorm, this is making an interesting change in our weather. This upper level wave is the reason why we're off to a mostly cloudy start this morning. But at the surface, we've got finally the area high pressure over northern Illinois. That's bringing the southeast breeze back into play. That's going to help us out with temperatures today. But I want to take you even closer to our area on the storm tracker and even look at just the radar, because there is enough moisture that we are seeing some areas of snow on radar. The caveat It's about 2 miles up in the atmosphere. Once you drop below 10,000 feet, all this moisture is running into dry air. So we're lucky if we can get any flurries this morning out of that batch of snow. Otherwise, we're mostly cloudy at 7th range line. Quick check of temperatures has us at 32, with it feeling like 23 with the southeast breeze at 11 miles per hour. As far as the day planner goes, we're all starting cold in the lower to middle 30s this morning. We'll go to 42 by noon. Afternoon highs around 46. We're going to hold on to the cloud cover throughout the day, along with a few sprinkles as we get highs near 46 this afternoon. We'll dry out for Wednesday and Thursday, and temperatures respond nicely to that. 58 Wednesday, 68 Thursday, 73 for Friday. A mild start to the weekend until another system comes our way Friday. A few showers late in the day, then we're back in the 40s on Saturday and 50s on Sunday. We're back after the break. Safety concerns from the small town of Orick, Missouri certainly springing up after the entire police force quits, including the police chief. Megan Abundis went to Orick to see what's being done to protect its residents.
It's concerning. We've always had an officer here. We've always had a police department.
The news was a surprise to the small town of nearly 900 people. The city of Orick says the officers gave no notice and there were no complaints previously filed by the officers. Melody Bly says it comes down to feeling unprotected.
We're out here alone. There's not a safety feeling. I know that if I had to do something, I would have to do what I had to do to protect myself. Bottom line.
The city of Orick says the officers left without warning and it didn't allow for a smooth transition. In the meantime, it's contracted with the Ray County Sheriff's Office to provide coverage for 40 hours a week. But those in town say response times are a concern.
20 minutes, you could be dead. 20 minutes, you could have your house broken into. 20 minutes is a long time.
Ray County Sheriff Scott Childers promises to support the town, enforce city laws, and ensure safety. He's waiting for a finalized contract so his deputies can consistently patrol the town.
When there's an off-duty deputy, they will be assigned in the town, so their response time will be 90 seconds because that's about how long it takes to drive from one end of town to the next.
He says the town will have one sheriff's deputy at a time per shift.
We just don't want people knowing we're going to be there. And so that way it helps cut down on the crime that's going on.
In a statement, the city of Orick said, like any small town, the very best policing is done by our citizens who remain vigilant and looking out for their neighbors. The city is confident there won't be a lapse in coverage or an increase in crime that will not be prosecuted.
Again, that was Megan Abundis reporting. Even though there are no currently any job listings up, the city says it does plan to work on hiring new officers starting next year. We're back after the break.
It's time to honor today's four-state hero, Walter Brown. Aviation mechanics mate second-class Walter Brown served with the Naval Air Station at Kano Bay, Oahu, Hawaii, from 1940 to December 7th of 1941, when he was at Pearl Harbor. He was honored with a destroyer named after him, the SS Walter Scott Brown, and obviously earned the Purple Heart. His hometown, Pleasanton, Kansas. We thank you. Walter Brown, this morning's four-state hero. A Pearl Harbor survivor will attend the 80th anniversary of the attack thanks to the kindness of others. Jim Mendoza has more on the 101-year-old recipient of crowdfunding generosity.
On December 7, 1941, Ira Schaub was a musician in the United States Navy, assigned to the USS Dobbin. That Sunday morning, he was getting dressed to meet his brother when Japan attacked Battleship Row.
It's hard to say what the feelings that run through your mind are. You're scared. You don't know what's going to happen next.
During the bombings, Schaub helped load his ship's anti-aircraft guns.
When I realized we were under attack, I got busy doing what I was told, but passing ammunition and getting that sort of stuff done.
Schaub was 21 years old that day. He's now 101. Kimberly Heinrich says as her father has gotten older, he shared more about his Pearl Harbor experience.
You know that it was a significant thing. You know, he was pulling bodies out of the water.
Schaub is the last surviving member of Navy Band 13. He wanted to come back for the 80th commemoration to represent his unit.
80 years is a long, long time, and I'm still here.
But his health requires 2 caregivers, and his family couldn't afford it, so they turned to crowdfunding.
What was most amazing to me is that people did respond. I don't have words to really thank these people.
Thanks to the generosity of total strangers, Schaub will be one of about 40 Pearl Harbor survivors at the December 7th ceremony.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart. That was very generous and unexpected and very kind, and I am forever grateful.
When he's here, Schaub will meet a member of another Navy band who also survived the attack, and he'll return to his musical roots as a guest conductor for the Pacific Fleet Band.
That's amazing. Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, the final piece of Robert E. Lee's statue prepares for removal. We'll have the details of what this means for this moment in history. And if you ever wondered what shopping for a toy drive looks like, stick around. I'm going to show you the process. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
I used to need...
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt denies clemency for a death row inmate sentenced to die for the 1985 shooting death of a Putnam City school teacher. Governor Stitt's decision clears the way for Bigler Stouffer II to receive a lethal injection on Thursday at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary. It comes despite a 3-2 recommendation from the state's Pardon and Parole Board that Stauffer's sentence be commuted to life in prison without parole. Stauffer has maintained his innocence in the attack on Linda Reeves and her boyfriend, Doug Ivins, that left Reeves dead and Ivins seriously wounded. The USDA announces grants to improve the energy infrastructure in 26 Kansas towns and counties. Hicks Corporation in Pittsburgh, which manufactures printing equipment and supplies, received more than $30,000 to purchase and install an air compressor, HVAC, and LED lighting. Also, Nice Products in Fort Scott, a well drilling contractor, received $29,000 to buy and install a ventilation and heating system and energy efficient lighting. The body of the late Senator Bob Dole of Kansas will lie in state at the U.S. Capitol on Thursday. Dole died Sunday at the age of 98. The former Republican presidential candidate and World War II veteran served in Congress for 36 years. Mr. Dole shaped tax and foreign policy and worked vigorously to help the disabled, spearheading the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly has ordered flags throughout the state to be flown at half-staff through sunset on Thursday in honor of Dole. Oklahoma voters registered as an independent will again be allowed to vote in the state Democratic Party's primary election. State Election Board Secretary Paul Ziriak says the Democratic Party has sent notification that it will allow independents to vote in the party's 2022 and 2023 primaries, just as they did in 2020 and 2021. Ziriak says the state's Republican and Libertarian parties have until December 15th to decide whether to allow independent voters to cast ballots in their primaries. Well, sponsor for the KOAM Toy Box campaign took some of the money raised so far and went on a shopping spree to buy toys for area kids in need. Miss Daisy's Home and Decor in Joplin did the shopping at Walmart. We sent photojournalist Ty Perks along to check it out.
Personally, I love Legos. My boys have always loved Legos, and so I just think Legos are fun. Oh, and also, it's just fun to choose something that you would want or you would like to see your kids get.
I love it. We're a local business. We completely believe in local, staying local, and giving back to our community. And this is right up our alley, and I love it.
I think it's really important because I want every child to have a good Christmas. So I feel like this was a great way to be able to do that.
KOAM Toy Box!
All right, well, of course, they had a lot of fun, and we always have a lot of fun seeing the toys in here in the studio. Our next toy, what do you have there?
I got the light bright. I've never had this as a kid. I've always wanted it, but I've heard, like, everybody that has these, it's the cool, yeah, it's one of the coolest toys that I've ever had.
Yeah, well, I did have a light bright as a little kid. It was like a mini light bright, but that one's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and now they make them so where you can do so many different creative things with them too. They branched off on their light brights.
Yeah.
Okay, if anyone's listening, Nick Kelly wants a light bright for Christmas.
Yeah, yeah, this is not mine. This is someone else's lucky.
In another life, I would have been an astronaut, so this space rocket is pretty cool. My kids used to watch Ryan's World, so that's pretty cool. A YouTuber has his own toy collection now, so I like that.
And
hey,
again,
our next Toy Box Tuesday telethon is today at noon, 5 and 6, so we would love for you to participate. It's so easy to do. All you have to do is tune in, grab your phone, and call in during those newscasts.
Yeah, because we need to keep filling the studio up with more toys. A lot of great kids out there deserve a good Christmas, so let's just do our best. Like a toy, if you can, a small, big donation, whatever you can give, always helps out, especially in making this Christmas a special one for the kids.
Well, and you know, today's the perfect day to do that because it's a little bit too cold to get out there and go shopping. So let us do the shopping for you. You stay inside where it's warm, and that's my lead into your weather.
Yeah, in the meantime, yeah, we'll get to the forecast right now because this is another quick upper level wave that's working in. That's why we have so much cloud cover to start the day out. It's the same cloud cover that picked up last night. But at least at the surface, we have high pressure over Illinois, bringing the southeasterly breeze back in. That is going to help us out with temperatures, at least a little bit compared to the low 40s we saw the other day. Now, we were dry during the overnight, but the radar has been picking up on some bands of snow working across our northern counties. The caveat here is this is way up in the sky, about 2 miles up. Once you drop below 10,000 feet, this just gets gobbled up by a lot of drier air near the surface. So that is why most of us look like this morning. Mostly cloudy skies, maybe a random flurry or two, but in general we're dry. It's 32 in Joplin with a feeling like 23, but that southeast breeze at 11 miles per hour. That wave is driving our weather for today. It's going to keep us mostly cloudy throughout the day, but as temperatures warm to about 46 in Joplin and across much of the area, we can't rule out some random sprinkles as we go throughout the course of the day. And the quick 7-day forecast shows the wave doesn't stick around for very long. It clears out tonight. We got a 58 Wednesday, 68 Thursday, responding nicely to temperatures due to mostly the partly sunny skies. 73 on Friday with another system trying to bring in a few showers late Friday afternoon and the Friday evening. But behind it, another drop in temperatures back to 45 Saturday and 52 on Sunday. We're back after the break. And dozens of World War II veterans gathered in Hawaii over the weekend for the 80th remembrance ceremony of the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Joy Benedict spoke with some of them about why it was important to make that trip.
The toll of the bell reminds us of the reverence we owe.
It was a heartfelt moment etched in patriotism. As this airport's baggage claim transformed into a stage of honor for 7 World War II veterans about to cross the Pacific and remember those who never made it home.
Means so much, especially at the last years of my life. It's just so important.
Bryce Jordan was a pilot in the U.S. Army Air Corps. At 97, he is one of dozens of World War II veterans making the trip to Hawaii this weekend for the 80th remembrance ceremony of the bombing of Pearl Harbor.
I think it's wonderful that us old veterans get a chance to do that.
After 80 years, most making the trip weren't in service when the bombing took place. They enlisted because of it.
It was shocking, because we didn't even know that there was a problem with Japan at that time.
As soon as the war started, people volunteered. Everyone was ready to go.
It was December 7th, 1941. 2,403 service members and civilians died that day. The USS Arizona and the USS Utah sank in the harbor and entombed hundreds of sailors still buried there today.
My wife's cousin was on the Arizona, so he's on that plaque
on the ship.
A sacrifice that isn't lost on these veterans, for service was all they knew. And as the members of the greatest generation get smaller in number every year, these men hope their stories will be retold so that younger Americans never forget.
I don't think they're educated in it, is what part of the problem is. A lot of them don't know what led up to World War II and why we were in the war.
Most of them haven't had to serve anything, and I always thought that was one of the best things that happened to me.
These veterans will spend 4 nights and 5 days there on Oahu, not only going to that ceremony on Tuesday, but seeing the sights. They will return here to the John Wayne Airport in Orange County on Wednesday night.
The 80th anniversary is amazing to me.
One more memory, one more moment for a generation that won the war and changed the world, but is losing to time.
Called it the greatest generation. We went from knowing nothing to knowing so much.
Those are definitely veterans that deserve our thanks, not just today, but every day. We'll be back with more Fox 14 of the KOAM Morning News after this.
A $50 million lawsuit is filed against a utility after an explosion in Flint, Michigan that killed 2 people and damaged more than 24 homes. James Filton has the details.
It's horrible to wake up one day and find out that your mother, who was perfectly healthy, was alive and well, is dead as a result of her home exploding. Who would think of that?
That's what attorney Jeffrey Feiger says Lisa Rahowick's family had to experience. Feiger is representing the estate of the 55-year-old woman in a $50 million lawsuit against Consumers Energy.
The explosion was clearly the result of a gas leak. We believe occurred outside the premises.
Feiger believes Rahowick's death could have been prevented. She died during an explosion that rocked this Flint neighborhood 2 weeks ago. A 4-year-old girl was also killed, 2 others injured, 27 homes damaged. Feiger says the blame lies with Consumers Energy.
Lisa had called the Consumers Power Company to investigate a gas leak. Other neighbors have contacted us indicating that they called as early as November the 16th. About a gas leak, and consumers never did anything.
Consumers Energy sees things differently. In a statement, they said that Consumers Energy is aware of a lawsuit filed following the November house explosion in Flint. Our hearts continue to go out to the residents of this community. We have completed field evaluation of our equipment, facilities, and service, working alongside law enforcement and other agencies. Our investigation shows there were no leaks or other issues relating to our natural gas system, equipment, or service outside the home. Additionally, Consumers Energy has reviewed internal call logs and vehicle tracking data, all of which confirms that we were not notified of a gas leak in the home or any related issue prior to the incident. Contrary statements in the lawsuit documents are false, and the legal claims are baseless.
Well, I'd like to know who declared war on Hogarth Avenue and dropped a bomb on Lisa Rahowick's house if it wasn't a gas explosion.
It's a very Mariah Carey Christmas at McDonald's. The Golden Arches is teaming up with the Queen of Christmas for its latest celebrity collaboration. Mariah Carey's very own menu and 12 days of Christmas deals is expected to start in just 1 week. And now fans can get a glimpse of the exclusive merch that goes along with it. An embroidered beanie with the pop diva's signature on it and a t-shirt with a throwback picture of Carey with McDonald's are up for grabs. Hey, that's cool. Fans can win the limited edition merch by being one of the first 10,000 fans to redeem the Mimi menu order on December 15th and December 22nd. Well, a popular ride-sharing service is making the riding experience safer for both drivers and riders alike. Uber says they will allow audio recording during trips. This policy will go into effect for both drivers and riders using the service. Both will be able to enable the feature in the app through Uber's safety toolkit and selecting record audio. While drivers have been allowed to record audio and video through dash cams, Uber says this will be the first in-app feature allowing ride documentation. Feature will roll out in the United States by early 2022. All about safety. We'll be right back with more after this, but first, Let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Appliances. Starting yesterday, the final piece of the Robert E. Lee statue in Richmond, Virginia is coming down. Over the weekend, Virginia Governor Ralph Northam announced the 40-foot tall pedestal that once held the statue would be removed. Naomi Ruckham explains the process and this moment in history.
Crews have begun the next and final step in the removal of what many consider a symbol of white supremacy.
Really, I'm kind of relieved. I look at it as new beginnings and a chance to open up the circle again for community space.
Over the next month, the 40-foot tall, graffiti-covered granite pedestal that once held a statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee will be deconstructed and removed. In September, there were cheers as the statue itself was lifted off the base where it had stood for 131 years. Public officials in Virginia had resisted its removal until the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis prompted nationwide protests. The Southern Poverty Law Center reports in 2020, nearly 170 Confederate symbols, monuments, and school names were removed or renamed nationwide. Many more statues have come down this year.
Monuments like these are no longer necessary. There should be a space for everybody to feel welcome and comfortable.
Removing the pedestal marks a turn for Virginia Governor Ralph Northam, who had originally said he wanted the community and local art museum to decide its fate. But over the weekend, the outgoing Democratic governor announced he would remove the base before he leaves office. Once it's gone, Northam will give the land to the city of Richmond. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
Now, it has been said that there was a time capsule from 1887 inside that pedestal. If it is recovered, the governor says it will be preserved by the Commonwealth of Virginia. In the meantime, we'll switch gears. We'll talk about weather now because we've got yet another upper level wave passing on through today. That is why we have so much cloud cover in play to get this Tuesday started. But at least at the surface, high pressure that was over Kansas the other day is now in northern Illinois. Clockwise flow, as a result, is back finally, there we go, out of the south, and that will help temperatures out despite all this cloud cover in place and some bands of snow actually popping up on the radar. But there is an important caveat to point out here. This is snow up at like 2 miles or 10,000 feet up in the air. Once you drop below that height, this is being gobbled up by a lot of dry air at the surface. So if anything of that is coming down to the ground, maybe a few flurries. That's about it. Otherwise, we're cloudy. Make that mostly cloudy and still cold in Joplin at 32 degrees with the southeast breeze at 11. Feels like 23 degrees outside with that wind chill. Everybody is sitting in the lower 30s right now. Quick look at the day planner. Does have us flirting with 34 degrees once we hit the top of the hour. 42 by noon. Afternoon highs around 46. I want to briefly show you the future track here because as this wave continues to press on through, temperatures will warm into the mid 40s today, but this wave, before it clears out tonight, could bring a few sprinkles our way during the day. We'll show you one last look at the 7-day when we come back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. COVID infections are once again surging in the U.S. New cases are topping 100,000 per day. And 1,100 Americans are dying every day. The new Omicron variant also keeps spreading. It's now been detected in at least 18 states. New York City will be the first city in the country to enforce private businesses to require their employees to get vaccinated starting December 27th. Well, today marks the 80th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, when Japan launched a surprise bombing on the naval base in Honolulu. More than 2,300 U.S. troops died in the attack. Survivors and veterans are gathered today in Hawaii at the Pearl Harbor National Memorial to pay their respects. President Biden is scheduled to hold a video call with Russian President Vladimir Putin later today as tensions rise about a possible Russian invasion of Ukraine. The U.S. intelligence report shows tens of thousands of Russian troops are massing at the border. The leaders have not spoken since July. Let's check in with Nick with a final look at your forecast.
And as promised, Tanya, a final look at the 7-day as well. We're mainly mostly cloudy today. We'll watch for a few flurries this morning and this evening, and maybe a few sprinkles during the day as highs top out near 46. We'll go 58 Wednesday, 68 Thursday, much warmer with partly to mostly sunny skies returning. After a mild start to the weekend on Friday at 73, we're going to see another system come on through and knock us back to 45 on Saturday.
All right, well, today is a sweet day indeed. It is National Cotton Candy Day. The staple of carnivals, fairs, and the circus dates back to the 1400s and has gone by many different names. Among them, spun sugar, candy floss, and fairy floss. To mark the day, enjoy some cotton candy and post to the social media hashtag National Cotton Candy Day. Now some fun facts. Ironically, a dentist and a confectioner teamed up to invent machine-spun cotton candy in 1897, but they regret that move, and it's believed another dentist later came up with the name cotton candy. That's weird.
That's weird.
Why would dentists, to keep the business?
Probably. In the meantime, thanks for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back tomorrow morning as well, but be sure to join us at noon on KOAM for our next Toy Box campaign.
That's right. Have a great morning and an even better day.
Please join